Hey, what's up guys? Jace Young here. I'm the founder of a company called Legacy Farmer, and inside of that company, what we do is we help farmers and ranchers from all across the country simplify and streamline the entire financial side of their operation. And over the past few years, we've done this and helped more than 300 family farms in this country. And today, what I want to talk to you about is one of the biggest problems that younger farmers have going back to the family farm operation is why they can't get their parents to change, why they can't get the operation to have an open mind and to be willing to do things differently, whether they're working with their dad or their parents or their grandparents or their siblings or whoever has been on the farm operation prior to them. And a lot of, we see it through the discussions and stuff that we have with family farms all across the country. People in their 30s and 40s and mom and dad are in their 60s or 70s, and they are coming back and they're motivated, they're young, they're wanting to make some changes, they're excited about the future of the farm operation and really adapting to this, ever-changing industry that we're all a part of. They've tried for years to try to get changes to be made, and it's really just ended in a lot of anger and resentment, difficult conversations that they're having, and just no progression at all across the operation. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was just like why that really happens. And the ultimate reason for doing this is so that we can get you guys to where you start saving your time, right? A lot of you've tried to have these conversations over and over again, and you've just wasted a lot of time and energy and just frustration. And that frustration, it impacts every area of your life, right? Because you're coming back, you're motivated, you're made promises, you were told that, hey, come back to the family operation, we're gonna, grow it and expand it or do what you want to do, and then things aren't happening. So really the question is why is that happening? Well, the first thing that we have to truly understand is that every one of us, every single person on this planet has what's called a worldview. Now, the worldview is how they see the world through their eyes. And now the next question is that we have to ask is, how is that worldview developed? Well, the thing is this developed over years and decades of different experiences inside of our lives. Our experiences growing up ultimately shape our worldview. And this is why we get this huge conflict between the older generation and the younger generation, because the older generation, their worldview was shaped by certain experiences that they've experienced from childhood clear up to where they're at right now. Different experiences that they had with their parents or their grandparents in their childhood. All of those things play a major impact into how we operate and how we see the world, especially when we get into our older years. Now, here's the problem with this though. If you have parents that are in their 60s or 70s and you were trying to spend time as a 30 or 40-year-old farmer that came back to the operation, if you're trying to spend your time getting them to make changes and do what you ultimately want to do, and they keep fighting you on it, it's not because they don't trust you ultimately, right? And that could be part of it, but for most people, it's not. It's not because they don't want to see the operation grow. It's not because they don't want to see changes made. It's because you have to be thinking about their worldview and how they view the operation. And that operation has been the same for a lot of years, for decades, right? And they saw the operation change throughout their life and things like that. And it developed this worldview around how business should work. It developed this worldview on how things should be done. And obviously we're in an ever-changing world where, families are changing, values are changing, the markets are constantly changing. You are required in order to be successful long-term in business, you have to be able to adapt, right? And the problem is though, is that the older generation, when they're running the farm operation back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, just like my granddad, they got conditioned to thinking that business worked that way. And the biggest reason that our family farm operation went under when I was in high school was because my granddad was unwilling to change, because he was just conditioned over all those years, decades, that business should be done a certain way. And then the market changes. He's not able to adapt to the changing industry and the different way of doing business. And ultimately, the failure of our operation was the result of that. And this continues to happen across all operations across this country, or across a lot of them anyway. And that's why we see hundreds of family farms going out of business every single year. So the question is how do we navigate this? Here's the deal, my friend. Quit wasting your time fighting them. It's not because it's not because they don't trust you. It's not because they don't want the farm to grow and expand. It's that because the way that they see the possibilities of this farm operation expanding are not the way that you see it, right? And again, it's not because they don't trust you. It's because they literally can't see it. They can't view these things. Their worldview is so locked in and was conditioned for decades again into seeing things only a certain way that's the only view. That is literally the only thing they can see. So what can you do now as a younger farmer rancher? Well, I'm going to give you the answer, and you may not like it, but you want the truth, or do you want me to, fill you with this false sense of hope and prayer that one day maybe things will magically change? The truth is, you have to be willing to step away from the family farm operation if they're not willing to make any changes, and you have to be willing to step away and go build your own thing. Right now, a couple things are going to happen from this. One, your parents or your grandparents may cave in that moment and say, okay, fine, we're ready to change. And guys, the thing is, in order to change a person's worldview, there's got to be something that smacks them like really hard. Something like that where you could potentially threaten them saying, hey, we're going to pack up, me and my family and your grandkids, we're going to pack up and we're going to leave the family operation. Or maybe you're not leaving the family operation. Maybe you're just building your own business and saying, hey, I don't want to be paid as a team member here on the operation anymore because I'm going to go build my own thing. That scares a lot of parents and a lot of grandparents. And again, if we want to shift somebody's worldview, we have to rock it, and we have to rock it really hard in order to make those changes. Okay, the other thing and scenario that could happen from this is they say, hey, great, okay, we'll let you go ahead and do your own thing. That's going to be massively beneficial for you because now you're going to be building a business from ground up, and through that experience, you are going to grow as a person and especially as a business owner, and you're going to learn so much more about business just like I had to. And the best, guys, honestly, the most grateful thing and the best thing that ever happened to me in my life was the destruction of our family farm, because I didn't have the family farm to go back to. I had to start my own business. I had to start with $0 in the bank account. I had to learn all of these business skill sets and mindsets that ultimately led me to the point to where I'm at now with Legacy Farmer, helping over 300 family farms, a team of 4 to 5 people on our team. You know, we have a successful business, and I've learned so much and I've developed so many business skills over the years that even if something happened to Legacy Farmer, I'm confident that I can go build another business in another area, maybe in a completely different industry, because of the skills that I earned, that I experienced, that I developed over the past 5 or 6 years since I left the banking industry in 2016. And so again, is it a tough road? Absolutely. But is it worth it? Absolutely. And guess what? When you do not need anything, when you go and you build your own business and you have your own source of income and you don't need the family farm operation anymore, the odds of it succeeding long-term and really carrying on to the next generation increase tenfold. The reason is because the family farm that you were going to inherit or take over, you came back, you want to make changes to, going through and having to build your own thing, now you truly understand what it takes to build something from nothing. There are sleepless nights, there's stress, there's risk that you're taking. There's all these things that a lot of younger farmers that come back to the operation, they never experience it. They never experience it, which means long-term, there's this lack of respect for what was built, right? My granddad started our family farm operation, and me starting my business, I have a different understanding and respect for what he built because I know he built it with nothing. And I know that I've went through some similar experiences with some sleepless nights, stress, finances, taxes, like team management and entity structure and estate planning and all this stuff. I've had to go through and experience those things and the stress that comes along with them. So I have a different respect now for what we've built, and I have a different appreciation for it. And now passing it on to my kids, hopefully one day, I'm not just going to pass it on to them or give them false hope saying, hey, you can come back and take this over. It's more about, I'm going to put them in the position to where they have to go through the same journey that I did and learn the hard lessons. That way, when they do inherit what I've built in my life, they have a different appreciation for it and a different respect for it. So that's what I'm telling you, my friend, is going through and doing this, like you have 2 choices, right? They're either going to accept it and they're going to be finally making changes because you rock their worldview, or they're going to say, okay, great, go build your own thing. That's fine. We're good here. You can come over and help us when you want to. And that's going to be awesome for you too. It's going to be really challenging. First couple of years, going to be really hard. But think about the next several decades of your life. You're so much better positioned and everything, my friend. So again, we'll go back to the whole point and topic around this. We've just seen so many farmers coming into Legacy Farmer that have been wasting literally decades of their life trying to get their parents to change or their grandparents to change and finally be able to come back to the operation and take it over and make some different changes, and they're just not budging. That's why. Worldviews are important, my friend. And every single day, you are going through experiences that are shaping your worldview. You're sending your family through experiences that are shaping their worldview. So it's actually a good thing to be aware of, especially as a parent, because everything that we do on a daily basis, the conversations we have, we're building our children's worldview. We're conditioning them to be a certain way by the time they get to where they're in their 30s and 40s and maybe coming back to the operation. We want them to understand that what was built here was not just built easily, that there was sacrifices made, there was blood, sweat, and tears, and just decades of hard work that went into this. And those are the type of lessons that we want to really instill in our kids so that when they do take over the operation or the family business or whatever it may be, they understand it and they appreciate it, which means the odds of it increasing and being around for the next several generations, those odds increase tenfold when we do that. So my friend, hope you found this message valuable. Hope you take some action from it. Yeah, let's keep moving forward. We'll catch you guys on the next video.